Oh man, I'm having the craziest dream right now. I'm dreaming that I actually played and am now reviewing The Last Guardian. I mean, this is crazy. It's so vivid. I know the game will never actually release, but hey, I might as well enjoy this while I can and tell you what I thought of this game I obviously played entirely in my head. And if I'm lucky, maybe I can get Jerry Ryan to appear holding a giant pizza. Let's get started! The Last Guardian has literally been a decade in the making. After all this time, we've been wondering with bated breath, can it possibly live up to our expectations? Does it properly continue the legacy of artful excellence established by Shadow of the Colossus and Ico, which I always thought was pronounced Ico, but apparently isn't? Now that I've played it, I can officially say, not exactly, no. At least not in my eyes. The Last Guardian is a gorgeous, breathtaking, extraordinary experience that, much like its young protagonist, stumbles constantly. First, I want to talk about the controls, not only because they're 80% of what brings the game down, but because the issue reared its ugly head quite literally within the game's opening seconds. From the moment I started controlling my character, everything felt just wrong. Every tiny aspect of the control scheme is somewhat off, and it all comes together to form an experience not unlike trying to wrestle a soapy ferret into a box. After reading early reviews, I, like many others, thought that as long as it was no worse than the controls in Ico or Shadow of the Colossus, I wouldn't mind a bit. Those games are a little wonky, but the somewhat sluggish weightiness of the characters felt intentional, and I liked it. I can still play those games today and have just as much fun with them. But I couldn't have possibly foreseen The Last Guardian controlling even worse. It's hard to even describe just how off it is. You gotta feel it yourself. There's just this disconnect between what you want and what the character does. Push in a direction, he'll move in a slightly different direction. Jump toward a thing, he'll jump to another thing. Try to pick up a thing, he'll do all sorts of things that are not picking up the thing. They programmed in all these little automatic environmental interactions, and they do nothing but wig the character out. Controlling your speed? Forget about it. Your two options are tiptoe at a snail's pace and barrel forward like a freak. My friends always commented how watching someone play Shadow of the Colossus was like watching a movie. But I feel like this game is like watching a crazed, drunken goblin twitch and glitch and stumble around a fantasy landscape, the serenity of which he dashes at every possible turn. On top of plain old bad controls, this game has got the craziest control lag I've ever seen. At first I thought maybe this was just because I was playing it on a 4K TV. Input lag can be an issue with those. But nope, the game was receiving my commands just fine. I guess the designers just wanted it to take a year before any of my button presses registered. Then to top it all off, that camera. It does what it wants, and there ain't much you can do about it when its mind is made up. Just like the character, it never really goes exactly where you want it to. And similarly, it's more than just a technical issue. The camera will indeed get stuck in the walls and even inside Trico and just generally tweak out a bunch, but the camera control is also designed horribly. The game knows where it wants the camera to go, and you can move it around, but it will often just snap back when you ease up on the stick. It's pretty much tug of war. Also, in this massive, beautiful world that features so much verticality, you often want to, look up. But the camera mostly just wants you to look left and right, and very reluctantly points upward. Then when you go back down, it's still all zoomed in, and it's just very uncomfortable. Call me spoiled, but I'm used to just pointing the stick in a direction and seeing in that direction. But this is a camera you've got to fight every step of the way. I'll note that a recent update made the camera a little better with a little less sluggishness, but the pointing up and down thing is still a big issue. Still on the subject of spoiled immersion, throughout the game this narrator voice will talk to you, telling you where to go and even what to feel. I did not like this. I'll admit that there were times that the voice saved me from some of the game's more obtuse problems, but more often than not it will pop up and spoil a puzzle before you even get a chance to think about it on your own. I mean, this whole game is about figuring out how to move forward. You can't give me the answer if I take 5 seconds too long to solve a problem. Sometimes it tells you what's going on in the boy's head without letting you just feel it for yourself. It's not always an issue, but overall I did not like how it was done. Right here is where I'd be going on a big tirade about how the game literally never stopped giving me these little button pop-ups from start to finish, reminding me of the game's most basic controls every step of the way, fully and completely shattering whatever sense of immersion there was. Stuff like climbing and hanging from ledges and grabbing stuff, as though the whole game were a tutorial. But apparently they fixed that with the patch as well, so I can't technically count it against the game's score, even though it largely ruined the experience for me. Gotta love modern games. Come on, 7 of 9, barbecue pineapple, yeah! Dang. Anyway, because of all this, it can be extraordinarily difficult to lose yourself in the world. You're always aware that you're watching a TV, mashing a controller, and shouting the occasional curse as you struggle your way to the end of a video game. Full immersion is next to impossible, which is a real shame, because this is obviously a game that wants to take you to another place. The environments are simply breathtaking. Everything I would expect from a current-gen Team Eco game. It probably doesn't do much that hugely stands out on a technical level, and like any game that shifts platforms during development, there are some last-gen remnants. I've heard it described as a PS4 game that looks like a PS3 game and plays like a PS2 game, but it's the art style and architectural design that dazzled me. Just like the game's predecessors, it conveys an incredible sense of space. It was a delight to reach each new area and wonder what kinds of things went on in all these old ruins and dungeons and towers. The world feels so real, like if you had the means you could just head in any direction and find stuff. It never feels like you're on this set path through the game world. It's important to note that I played The Last Guardian on my PS4 Pro with a 4K display, and I gotta say the higher resolution made a huge difference. I've never felt so strongly like I was looking through a window to another place. The image clarity combined with the beautiful lighting made for some downright enchanting spectacles. Then of course we've got to touch on the obvious star of the show. The game is all about navigating this world with your companion, a giant dog, cat, luck dragon thing called Trico. You interact with him and climb all over him in order to solve puzzles, reach high platforms, and just generally move forward. And let me tell you, Trico is nearly enough to hold up this game all on his own. I expected an amazingly real creature, but nothing could have truly prepared me for just how real he is. It's obvious that the developers spent an immense amount of time on him, and he's so ridiculously complex that it wouldn't surprise me at all if he's what complicated development for so long. I can guarantee that never in your life have you seen a video game creature that seemed so much like a living, breathing animal. He's got so many little animations and behavioral quirks, and he almost never seems out of place in the world. He'll gingerly step over gaps and paw at doors and watch closely as you hunt down food and become agitated when he sees something he doesn't like. If the character constantly breaks immersion, Trico is there to help pull it back together. At nearly all times, it feels like he's reacting naturally to the character and to the environment, rather than being pulled around on a track and executing a series of animations. He also looks amazing. From the moment I saw him, I was like, yep, that's where 90% of the budget went, that guy right there. Not only is he expressive with his changing eyes and his pivoting ears and his intricately designed body language, but his coat of feathers is absolutely beautiful. Each feather moves individually, and they even shift colors under different lighting conditions. Get him in water and prepare to be blown away. The sheen of his wet feathers, the way the reflected light plays on his underside, the droplets that fling everywhere when he shakes off. Once again, seeing it on the Pro was probably the first time this generation so far I've been genuinely taken aback by graphical fidelity. Gameplay-wise, using Trico to progress is very novel and mostly well executed. He can jump to high or distant platforms, which is always quite the rush. He'll nose you up onto unreachable ledges and even offer his tail as a ladder. The world is populated by these terrifying suits of armor that woogle you all up and try to take you into their scary doors, and helping Trico get into the room is the only way to kill them. I won't show you any actual fighting, because something about watching him attack them for the first time is very special and exciting. In fact, some of the game's best moments are when he finally comes to rescue you from some dire situation. The presence of these armor guys adds a delightful tenseness whenever the two of you need to temporarily split up, and it strengthens your emotional bond with the beast. Speaking of that bond, your relationship with Trico is one of interdependence. After battles, he relies on you to pull spears out of him. He's both scared of and transfixed by these stained glass eye symbols that are scattered about, and you'll often have to destroy them before he can move on. You need to hunt down glowy barrels in order to keep him fed and happy. It will often fall on you to navigate an area on your own and find a way to open a path for him so you can both continue forward. Then, most importantly, you gotta give him pets. I don't know if this is necessary or not, so I do it a lot just to be safe. It was dramatically lessened due to the overall awkwardness of the game, but I did indeed form a connection with Trico. It's impossible not to when you need each other so much, when everything you do is based on teamwork. Unfortunately, even Trico brings his own fair share of problems to the table. He's so big that he causes even more camera problems, especially in small spaces. There's a Look at Trico button, which is the only thing that makes the game even playable in some parts, but it only helps so much. You can issue commands, and by that I mean you can point in a vague direction and hope he understands what you want. I get that him not instantly obeying is a design choice, and I often appreciate the added realism, but every once in a while when he just won't do what you want, or he keeps taking you back the way you came, or you're stuck wondering whether you're trying the wrong thing or he's just not responding, it can be frustrating enough to take you out of the game. Then there's climbing on him, which I just don't get. We spent a whole game climbing on huge beasts, so I can't fathom how this can be worse. You'll get caught on his legs and constantly go the wrong direction and sometimes glitch out like crazy. Some of the game's most epic and emotional moments were totally botched because I couldn't get the stupid character to climb the right way. I went back and forth on The Last Guardian so many times it ain't funny. I'm not sure if I've ever played a game with such dizzying heights paired with such mucky lows. Is it a bad game held up by some good stuff? Is it a good game brought down by some bad stuff? Most importantly, is it worth buying? And I think the answer is that it just depends. It's definitely not for the average gamer. You've got to be really, really into the good stuff I mentioned, and you have to already be in love with the quirks and style of Team Ico's previous games. You have to go into it willing to endure its issues. If you do, though, you're gonna have some experiences that will likely stay with you forever. There will be those few fleeting moments when the controller and the TV do indeed melt away and you actually feel like a kid clinging to the back of a gigantic, magical beast. If what works in The Last Guardian didn't work so darn well, I would call this a mediocre game and give it a 3 at best. But I think it's a testament to just how breathtaking and emotional and just cool it can be that I placed it on the upper half of the scale. The good and the bad nearly came to a stalemate and dropped it on a middle-of-the-road 4, but some of its sequences, particularly in the latter part of the game, combined with that new patch that plugs up a few holes, was just barely enough to nudge it up to a 5 out of 7. Man, this dream has been going forever, and I don't usually feel this hungry when I'm dreaming. Wait, does that mean that I'm not dreaming? Oh my gosh, I'm awake! They really finished The Last Guardian! I really played it! I can't believe it. They said it would never happen. I said it would never happen, but it did! It really did! Ah!